Hey guys, so recently I had a great opportunity to go to Japan. I went with a big organization that was about 55 people, including teachers and my friends and students. It was a school-wide thing, but I'm still glad I had the opportunity to go. And I want to share some of my experiences as well as what you can do, mostly about what you can do as a tourist going to Japan, what I recommend you do so you get the most out of your experience. So the first thing I would do is figure out basic phrases. For example, hi. Hi basically means yes, I understand. Basically, general all term for positive and affirmative um, speech. And whenever you get to learn more vocabulary in Japanese and you start understanding questions that people are asking you, it's going to be way more applicable to you. The next phrase I want to say is "arigatou gozaimasu." So what this means is thank you very much. Like this is the most, not the most, but a very polite way to say thank you. And what I recommend is doing this whenever you finish buying something from a shop. You say arigatou gozaimasu, and then they say gozaimasu. I think it's really polite. I think it's a great way to interact with the community, and I think it makes Japanese people love you because you try to involve in their culture. I think it's great. Another thing I noticed got said a lot was dozo. So dozo, uh, in the context that I'm using it in, it's whenever you're like waiting in 7-Eleven or something, and then one of the ladies or girls is sitting over yonder and being like, dozo, like, come on, like, let's go, like, come over here. Yeah. So that just means come here, basically. Next is suminasen and gomenasai. So suminasen is a way to say I'm sorry or excuse me. So if you're in a very crowded area and you want to get past a few people, you say like suminasen and walk through. Or gomenasai, I'm sorry. That's how I would use it. So next is iie, and iie is no. It's just no. Next is ohayou gozaimasu, and that's good morning. And then konnichiwa, and that is hello. Basically, ohayou gozaimasu is used in the morning, and I would say up until 12. And at 12, you would start using konnichiwa as your greeting. And then around 7 p.m., you want to say konbanwa, and that's more like good evening. And then konnichiwa is like good afternoon. Basically, hello. And, my opinion is that you should try to learn as much Japanese as possible. Just try to pick it up, maybe do some Anki flashcards, maybe learn a few vocabulary words so you can basically impress more Japanese people with how much you know. And yeah. And also, I want to say, don't be afraid to try to put an accent. You don't have to be a white guy in Japan. You can try your best to do an accent because there's an integral part of Japanese called pitch accent, which is where some words or some syllables in the word have elevated pitches, like hoshi. And basically, you want to imitate what you hear, and being in Japan is a great way to hear a lot of things so you can imitate it really easily. Next thing, I want to talk about some places that I went and some places that you could go. First one is Book Off, and this was recommended to me by my friend Presley. We went up in, I think it was Osaka. It was Kyoto. I think it was Kyoto. So we found a Book Off, and it had basically a bunch of movies, video games, DVDs, CDs. Had a bunch of anime like figures and plushies and pins and magnets and stickers, posters. Had once again a bunch of manga, a bunch of books, all in Japanese, by the way. Well, of course, here in Japan. And and there's an adult section. You want to check that out if you're a little naughty boy. But I don't know, check it out. I think it's really cool. And if you're into that kind of stuff, of course, if you don't like it, then whatever. Next is clothing stores, and the reason I say this, and it's a certain type of clothing store. It's more of the thrift stores as well as like stores that sell kind of, I don't want to say meme clothing, but it's like kind of gag, like souvenir-ish, but like still like gag clothing in a way. I don't know how to describe it. Yeah, so I actually got a shirt from one of these stores right here. And basically it means I learned all my Japanese from erotic books. And I think that's pretty funny. And I got some other shirts that's like onigiri and have a little rice seaweed snack on it, you know, shirts that do have that sort of stuff. I think that's really interesting, you know. Bring something for your friends, you know, get something for yourself. I think it's really fun. And what I love about clothing stores, especially those like thrift stores, is that they're way cheaper than the United States. If that's where you're from. Maybe from Canada, it's also cheaper. So I would recommend checking out those stores and seeing, you know, what you can buy, because it's probably a good price. Like not even a lie. Especially, and even those stores that are like higher end, that are kind of comparable to American higher, maybe like H&M or something. That's not high end, but it's in that tier. Stores that are like that, they're still cheaper than those H&M stores sometimes. Sometimes they're more expensive. Like I saw this Les Mis shirt that was like $100. It was just a t-shirt with Les Mis, the cover on it, but whatever. Some people buy that. Next, I would want to check out some Japanese video games. So first, I think it's a great way to, if you're actually trying to learn Japanese and you want to start learning hiragana, katakana, kanji, reading these like text-based video games like Animal Crossing. For example, I got Bayonetta. I haven't played it yet, but whenever I start getting deeper into language and I start understanding more, I want to be able to play that in Japanese and just learn more just by doing. I think that's the best way to learn, is just fully immerse yourself. And also, it's also cheaper. Like, video games are just cheaper. Unless you buy them used online, then it's way cheaper. Next, my mistake is that I never checked out the One Piece store. See, I'm a huge One Piece fan. So, personally, I kind of wish I went there. I had the opportunity, but I missed it up. And, you know, if any of y'all went there and took some pictures or anything, or whatever, you know, I want you to check it out, say how it went. You know, I wish I went, but next time I go, I'm definitely gonna go. You know, big One Piece fan, like I said. Next thing I want to talk about is food. So, one basic thing I want to say first is try everything. Try everything you can in Japan. For example, like, you know, this basic, like sushi, ramen, like it's all authentic. You want to find these like small stores that like on the curbside or whatever. That's a common rule. The small, like family-owned stuff is always the best. So try, if you're in like a town like, Takayama, right? You want to make sure that you, especially because it's kind of more country, more rural, and not urban as like Tokyo especially. You're going to want to check out those smaller stores. And if you're in a big place like Tokyo, there's not really that option. I'd recommend looking up some highly esteemed brands, or just whatever catches your eye, actually. That's all you have to do. Just whatever catches your eye, go. Try it. Why not? It's not going to be that bad. For example, there are these strawberries on a stick that are like coated in sugar. And they're like crunchy, and they're pretty good. You know, they cost like 500 yen. It's pretty pricey for what you get, but you know, it's a good experience, and I think it's tasty. And next, okonomiyaki is like a savory pancake. Has whatever I got. It had like a bunch of fish in it, and a bunch of vegetables, and a bunch of fish and vegetables, basically, all mixed into like pancake batter that I actually fried myself. It kind of reminds me of like Jen. If you ever went to a KBBQ place where you make your own food, reminded me a little of that. Next is takoyaki. A takoyaki I got one time was really good. It was really good. You need to try some authentic takoyaki in Japan. It's like balls that I think are filled with squid, and you bite into it and it's like it's so nice and warm and liquidy on the inside. It tastes so good. Next is the beef skewers. I remember I mentioned Takayama, and they had some really good beef skewers I recommend. They were like 500 yen too, but I think they're worth it. And next, what I love the most was going to the vending machine. There are a ton of vending machines, by the way. If you go, you would see vending machine everywhere. I'm not kidding. I'm like, in America, you see a vending machine like, oh yeah, we have a lot of them, but we barely have any compared to Japan. That's like it's not culture shock, but similar, I guess. And there are these milk teas that are like canned. They're like usually in a brown color, and they're really good. The milk teas are really good. You need to try the milk teas. They're so good. You gotta try it. Next, oh, speaking of vending machines, they will kill your budget. And what I recommend personally is you should bring yen, like physical yen, because they're like, for example, some stores even in Tokyo, like on like a big strip, they only accept cash. I remember one time it was towards my end of my trip, and I tried to buy some of those strawberry like covered things on a stick, and I realized I didn't have any cash. Tried to pay with cards. They're like, no, cash only. And I'm like, oh, well, I can eat it, but that's okay. You know, diabetes and stuff. But I recommend bringing yen, and also make sure not to spend so much on vending machines, because they will eat your money if you don't watch yourself. Like you can spend $200 on like a Monster or something, and then you do that like 3 times. Like you get a water or you get a milk tea, and that's like 600 yen down the drain already for one day. So that's like $5 or so. And by the end, if you stay there for like 2 weeks, $5 for 2 weeks, math, 64, maybe $64, $66, 66. I think it's 66. I might be wrong. I'm not a math genius. But yeah, that's a lot of money, right? So just be wise. That's all I'm gonna say. Just spend what you want. Definitely, like, don't have any regrets. And that comes to my next point, is buying. Is that you should buy whatever you. No, don't impulse buy, okay? But I mean, like, if you see something cool and you, like, for example, katanas. If you really want a replica katana, don't let money get in the way of getting something that's really cool for your house and really good display. And I know I'm kind of being materialistic for a second, but like, honestly, it's cool to have a katana like right there, like replica, of course. And it's like on a stand. It could be red, it could be black, it could be yellow, whatever you want. Like, I think that's cool. So if you want it, buy it. Same thing with like yakutas and kimonos. I personally bought a yakuta. It was about 100 yen total. Sorry, 10,000 yen total. $100 about, maybe $90. I'm not sure about conversion rates. But kimonos I heard are a lot more expensive, so I definitely recommend getting a yakuta if you're gonna get one of the two. And yakuta is basically something you wear in the summer. It's kind of like pajamas-ish. Like, it's normally worn like as a lighter clothing, while kimonos are more heavy. Next thing I'd recommend buying is CDs. I remember I said this in the book off segment, but I personally have a CD player in my car, and just getting like, I got a bunch of classical CDs because I was just in a big CD store and I really wanted to check it out. Some pieces I was playing at the time and some pieces I want to play. And if you're into CDs, I'd recommend getting some Japanese maybe CDs, so you can like listen to the language more and start understanding pronunciation and, you know, the pitch accent and all those nuances in the language. Next to shirts, I said in the previous segment, just buy some gag shirts. Why not? It's fun. Next is general. Next is general information. So whenever you're going out with friends, you want to make sure that everybody gets what they want. You know, if somebody dominates the entire thing and doesn't let you get what you truly want, you need to make your voice heard, or you need to, I don't know, not cut them off, but you need to vouch for yourself. You need to make sure you get done what they want and they get done what they want too. And make sure everyone wins, okay? I just recommend, make sure you focus on getting your opinion heard. That is the most important thing. You need to get your opinion heard, and you need to go, because maybe this is your last chance going. Maybe you're old, maybe you're young like me, but you don't know when you're coming back. So you need to go where you want. And that's what, I don't regret it, but you know, I could have done more vouching while I was there. And same thing, I recommend everyone journal especially while you're traveling. For example, I don't see it right now, but I have a little journal that I brought, and every night I write right before bed. You could ask my friends. I write before bed, and I just write about my day, like, so I remember it, because I'm very scatterbrained, I'm very ADHD, and I tend to forget things really easily. Like, I lose my keys all the time. I lose my wallet all the time. I lose my phone all the time. It's bad. It's terrible. So I need to write it down, and so I remember it, because sometimes I go on family vacations and I don't remember anything. Or that's not true, but you know, I remember more when I write things down. And because you can always look back, maybe when you're older, and you can, you know, see, this is what I did. And once you start reading your journal, like even right now, if I were to go through it, I'd like start picturing what was happening in my mind because I wrote down about it, and it's really cool to relive those experiences. Oh, next thing is I would also recommend you speak Japanese as much as you can. Don't try to speak as little English as possible because Japanese people love when you speak Japanese, and you're gonna love it too because you make them feel good and you're learning a new language and it's cool experiencing a culture. You're getting immersed in it instead of just being like, yes, I want bread. You know, it's not the same. I don't know how to say Japanese, but just try to speak more Japanese. That's all I gotta say. Next thing is Google Maps. I tried to get an eSIM card for my phone, and it didn't work at all. I couldn't use data at all during my trip, which sucked because I wanted to use Google Maps. But luckily, I had friends who had data, so I was able to mooch off them. But what I recommend is just using Google Maps. And I heard if you also want to take the bullet train, Google Maps has all the like destinations on there, and like what time you need to get off the train, what time you need to get on, what stop you need to get on. All that information is on there. And I think that's pretty much it all I have to say. I appreciate y'all sticking through. Let me know if you have any questions about my experience. Maybe I'll talk about what I personally believe. And before I go, actually, I want to say that go to temples and go to those historical sites because believe me, I thought I was going to be bored as hell. But in reality, it was fun. It was fun to explore. And especially if you're friends, you can just talk and talk, just talk about anything, and you're just gonna have fun because you're in a new place and you're gonna be walking around and you're gonna see all these beautiful sights, and it's gonna be an experience you won't regret. I promise you. Go to historicals, go to temples, go to castles, go to gardens. That's fun. Like trust me. I used to hate that. Like I would hate hiking, or I wouldn't hate hiking, but like I really didn't want to go on walks like in the nature when I was traveling, like not so far from my house. But when I was forced to go in these situations in Japan and being with friends especially, I loved it. And I recommend you do it too. Just give it a try. And that's actually all I have to say now. So I appreciate y'all sticking around. Bye-bye.